Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of previous meetings, April 12th, regular meeting, and April 26th, work session meeting of 2016.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have a few announcements to make. The first one is an incident occurred on the April 12th board meeting when it was reported to security that a person brought a firearm to the board meeting. Security referred the matter to the Montoursville Police Department. We would like to remind everyone that firearms and other dangerous weapons are prohibited on school property. Under Section 912 of the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, a person who brings a firearm or other dangerous weapon onto school property without a valid excuse commits a criminal offense. If any person at this meeting has a firearm or other dangerous weapon, we ask that you please leave this meeting now and do not return until the weapon has been placed in a secure location off of school property. On the afternoon of April 28th, there was an incident at the high school. It was investigated immediately and taken care of by the administration. There was also an incident at the middle school on or about May 4th. The administration decided at that time, along with the faculty, to cease allowing 7th and 8th grade students to carry their backpacks with them the entire day. I have been informed that there have been ongoing problems associated with the backpacks. The main objective of this change is the safety of the students. The letter sent to the parents explains this change in detail. Also on the district website, there's a link to a survey to gather input from the community, teachers, and students on what they would like to see in a school superintendent. Please take the time to do this survey. This time we'll move on to prior presentation period.
Are we going to do recognition awards and presentations?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I have a few.
Sure.
These students have been nominated for the Ray of Light Award for 2016. These ones are for the play Anatomy of Grey, for Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Play, Jake Dia. Best Performance by a Supporting Actor in a Play, Nash Dawson. Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Play, we've got two, Kelsey Dowling and Kelsey Rogers. Best Performance by a Leading Actress in a Musical, well, these ones are for Once on This Island for the musical, Bailey Luna. Best Performance by a Supporting Actress in a Musical, Kelsey Dowling. Best Performance by a Featured Actor in a Musical, Jake Diaz. Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Musical, Kelsey Rogers. The high school is also being recognized, hopefully, for the Best Vocal Performance for Once on This Island, Best Choreography for Once on This Island, Best Play for Anatomy of Grey, and Best Small Scale Musical. And we're also eligible for the Ray Phillips Memorial Trophy. So congratulations, and we are wishing all of those students the best of luck. I would also like to recognize a couple of McCall Middle School students. McCall Middle School took 8 awesome projects to this year's Regional Computer Fair, and London Lucina placed 2nd, and Dylan Eck placed 3rd in the digital movie category. So congratulations to those students.
I'd like to recognize the choral last night for the performance. Did a fantastic job.
Graver had winning essays and media presentation in the 2016 Lycoming County Law Day contest. Mr. Heather's class competed in the annual Lycoming County Envirothon, and they will go on to the state competition on May 24th and 25th. And Blair Shear broke his own school record in the 2,000-meter steeplechase.
If there isn't anything else, then we'll move on to the prior presentation by Pastor Owen White.
Superintendent Bowers and President Snell and school board members. My name is Owen White. I'm privileged to pastor the Twin Hills Church of the Nazarene. And on behalf of Montoursville Ministerium, I want to just express another word of thanks for all of the very hard decisions that you are making, and to let you know that we are lifting you all up in prayer, not only for yourselves, but also for our school district. So thank you for all that you do. If you would allow me, I would love to offer a prayer for you and for your meeting tonight. Gracious God, we want to come before you this evening and declare that you are awesome and you are good, and that we are greatly in need of you all the time in our lives. And you have placed before this board and before this school district opportunities to be able to make important decisions that will better our students and better our teachers and better the administration. And these are big decisions, God, and we would pray for your wisdom and for your clarity and for your leadership over these decisions. As some of the safety issues were mentioned and are ongoing, we thank you that you have kept our students and our faculty safe. We do pray for continued safety in our schools, oh God, and we are continuing to trust in you for the ways that you protect us. Oh God, we are grateful for all the amazing achievements of our students and our faculty, and we pray that you would continue to be glorified in all that we say and in all that we do. And Jesus, we thank you so much for the ways that you gave us an example of how to pray. And so I pray the prayer that you taught us to pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, here on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you so much.
At this time, we will take public comment regarding agenda items. Speakers should state their name, address, identify the specific item they wish to comment on. It will be 3 minutes per person for a maximum period of 30 minutes.
Mr. Snell, before we do that, I felt rudely cut off at the last meeting, and I really wanted to say something. Can I be afforded the opportunity now, since I was cut off at the last meeting?
Sure.
Thank you. A lot has happened and many changes have occurred since I began here as a school board member. My main goal when I decided to run for this position is the one thing that has remained constant. As a school board director, I understand that students are the #1 priority. They are the ones who need fair representation and opportunity, and school is there to provide it. Since joining the school board in December of 2013, I can honestly say without hesitation that I have worked towards the betterment of our district. My history of voting since I began, and even after this new board was formed this past December, is a clear representation of myself as a board member. I have been and will continue to be here to represent all students, all administrators, all faculty, all staff members, and all of the members of this great community. As a board member, I feel it's important to think objectively about people. In my opinion, the majority of this board has been so completely caught up in its own political ideology that doing what is best for the common good of this district is not in clear view. Because of this, and all this national attention we have been getting, and the many outcries from the public, I feel that it is not only in the best interest of our school district, but it is also imperative for Karen Wright to resign and for the 5 common sense members to at least apologize for allowing all of this to happen. Thank you.
My name is Yvette Erdley, and I'm at 113 Bella Vista Drive in Montoursville. I had sent out an email earlier today regarding the supplemental learning support room at Montoursville Area High School, which is Mrs. Davies' room. And as a parent of a child in high school with the learning support need and on the autism spectrum, I'm very concerned about the proposed change to the classroom and losing Mrs. Davies as a teacher. And I was never notified by the district that this would be a change going into effect possibly. I found out from another parent, so I felt like a parent meeting would be very important to have in the near future before the end of the school year. Learning support is in my son's IEP, so that needs to be provided. I called the Peel Center, the special education consult line, and I might reach out to the Jones Center as well to get some guidance on what to do going forward. Students on the autism spectrum struggle with social skills and changes. Transitions are hard and can cause setbacks. A learning support room meets their educational needs and helps them to succeed. So in this, I wish the board would consider all the options before making a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bowers. We got board members, we received an email from Ms. Erdley and another one from Ms. Stugart regarding this issue. Could you give them any clarification on that, please?
Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. So the history of that particular program is the IU-run classroom, which means other districts can participate in this classroom. It's been that way for a long time. The last several years, other districts have their need for this classroom has increased, so they have pulled their students from this program and created their own program, which leaves the only kids left in this classroom for next year are just our kids. So it is much more financially feasible for us to withdraw the program from the IU and have the program ourselves. So the program is going to remain. It's just going to be ran by the Montoursville School District and not by the IU. In regards to the teacher that is in that classroom, she has every right to apply for that job. If she would like to leave the IU and apply for the position with our district, she'll certainly be interviewed, and you know, that's certainly a possibility. That's completely up to her. That's her professional opinion whether or not she wants to do that. But there is no plan, and there never was a plan, to eliminate the program. It's simply to take the program over from the IU. Does that clarify? Bill?
Excuse me.
Does that clarify? Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Bowers.
Sure.
Dr. Bowers, that's also the teacher that's hired for that position will be just as qualified, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. The same qualifications, same credentialing. It's the same program. It's just it's ran by the Montoursville School District and not the intermediate. There will be no change in program. Sure.
My name is Ellen Stoner. I'm from Upper Fairfield Township, and I am speaking tonight on behalf of 9 prior board members. Those members represent 5 past presidents, 1 VP, and a total of 77 years of service to the district. Respect for anyone willing to be a board member and serve in what is one of the most thankless positions in the state has led to a tradition of previous board members offering little comment or criticism of the sitting board. We understand the toll the position takes, and it is shocking to us that we now feel compelled to make a statement asking all the common sense board members to resign. We've invested countless hours and years of our lives into developing Montoursville School District into a highly respected and envied school district within the county and even throughout the state. In the past 5 months, years of hard work have been undone. Common sense has lost the faith of the community. They have been unable to do anything they claimed they would do before the election. The board has failed to do one single thing to improve education in the district in the last half year. Common sense has been fiscally irresponsible, and if the present trend continues, they will place the district in a state of financial distress. Common sense board members refuse to accept a well-qualified applicant to the board with a background in education. Instead, they chose a person with no background in education with a well-documented and verifiable history of hateful comments. The story has continued to receive national attention, and minority groups are calling for a change in Montoursville. We were proud to have hired some of the finest administrators in the state. Few are left. Many of them are leaving the district since the Common Sense board members have been in office, and if there's not an immediate change in the board, it will be difficult to attract good administration to replace those that you have forced away. Additionally, Common Sense's micromanagement of the district has created a situation where the morale is at an all-time low. Common Sense board members have lashed out at speakers in public meetings in an attempt to intimidate them. This abusive behavior exhibited by the board members in open meetings and emails to constituents has increased the division of our community. All transparency in the district is lost. Every right to know is now being sent to a solicitor, and many requests for information are denied. Common Sense removed the long-term solicitor, replacing him with a less experienced person, which created a situation where, as reported in the Sun Gazette, the board changed a policy that was in violation of state law. We have watched the new board for almost half a year. We have seen no improvement. You do not understand your responsibilities, and you are rapidly moving the district into a situation that will take decades or more to rectify. For the good of the taxpayers, the students, the staff, the entire community, we are asking the following individuals who have proven themselves incapable of following the law, the Pennsylvania School Board Association Code of Conduct, and your own board policies to resign. Mr. Ronald Snell, Mr. William McCleary, Mrs. Denise Johns, Mr. George Hagemeyer, and Mrs. Karen Wright. We are willing and ready to help you through any transition, and it is respectfully signed Ellen Stoner, Tom McNamara, Bob Lorson, Jim Bergen, Dale Ulmer, Tim Ludgate, Chuck Graham, Irv Gleason, and Jeff Scones. Thank you.
My name is Sue Mosley, and I live at 1125 Walnut Street. I'm addressing the agenda item 60. Mr. Snell, on March 8, 2016, you named this building Project Unity. We were all thrilled that progress in Unity was beginning, happy that our community would finally be coming together. That lasted 1 month. On April 12, 2016, you stabbed this community in half. You, sir, chose politics over unity. You don't want unity, you want revenge. Your lies to all of us continue to divide this community. Good people are leaving this school district and community. Your decisions on this project are the reason. You have thrown away upwards of $300,000 of taxpayer money and have nothing to show for it. You now are making more cuts to a project that we need, that our children need. There are 3 main concerns still remaining in Project Unity. Saving Old 31, repairs at LVE, which are needed, and an auxiliary gym, which is needed. 2 of these items are needs. 1 of them is a want. We cannot do all of them, so the question is, how do you choose? What I see from your agenda tonight, you are poised to put a want before the needs of our students. We as a community cannot let this happen. I am sure you are tired of all of us being here every week putting pressure on you. There is a solution to that. Start making the right decisions. Stop wasting our money. Stop hurting our children. Stop dividing this community. In a little more than 2 months, we will be looking back 20 years at the most tragic event our community has ever endured. That's Flight 800. I personally lost friends and watched parents that were close friends mourn their children we as a community mourn this loss together, life for many of us has never been the same, will never be the same. I have often thought, what would these kids think of our community today? Would they be proud of us? I don't think so. There once was an angel that covered us and protected us all. Where has that angel gone? What has happened to Notorsville? There is now a very dark cloud that covers our community. The nation is watching. What are you as a school board saying to this community? What are you telling our children? What are you telling the taxpayers? What I am hearing you say is that saving the 31 building is more important to you than our students at LVE and the high school. Is that what you were saying? Mrs. Marriott, is that what you're saying? Mr. Hagemeyer, is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry.
No, it's not. Mr. Ruffing, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not.
Mr. McCleary, is that what you're saying? Mrs. Johns, is that what you're saying? Mr. Snell, is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Mrs. Wright, is that what you're saying? Mr. Lowe, is that what you're saying? Mr. Compton, is that what you're saying? This is a question that cannot go unanswered, and some of you refuse to answer the question. Thank you.
Jamie Cordell, 1020 Arthur Road. I'm actually speaking on behalf of one of my friends, Kimberly Wren from Nicely Avenue, who couldn't be here tonight because her daughter's sick. So I'm actually going to read from what she wrote that she wanted to ask. There was a couple of questions, I guess, maybe they're questions, but the first is actually to Mr. McCleary. She asks how you can offer yourself as a man unyielding in your quest for clean air and clean water for all the students in the district, yet vote to spend money to save the old 31, as Mr. Snell lovingly calls it. And that also goes for Mrs. Wright, actually, because she said that she was very surprised that you voted for stones over students, because that's really what you did last meeting. The second question, why is, and this is off the subject of 31, okay, this is about cafeteria and food, okay? And this is something I actually wanted to ask myself, so I'm glad she brought it up. But why is a school district that has an organization such as Future Farmers of America serving microwavable meals to these students? Why? First of all, they're very expensive, I have to tell you. Ridiculously expensive, and they are not nutritious at all. We could unite with all the local farmers to bring our students real food. So why don't we do that? You know, that doesn't make any sense to continue to serve them these preservative-filled mini meals just to make sure we get the calorie and the sodium requirements that are required for the school. Okay, so that can be something hopefully you guys will look at. As far as Kim's last thing that she really, and I think a lot of us here would love to see and maybe prove to us, you know, the ones that really don't understand what you guys are seeing when it comes to common sense and Mr. Hagemeyer. What are you guys seeing? We need to see, a lot of us are visual, you know? We've seen a lot of charting, we've seen a lot of things up on these boards, but we really don't see the comparison of the original option 5 compared to what you have spent and what is going to happen. That is what the community needs and requires to see in order to see what you guys are seeing. Because obviously we are not seeing it. And we're serious. I mean, I don't see it either. When she wrote this, it's true. You know, make sure you add in the lawsuits, the change order costs, the winterization costs, the costs that you'll incur by keeping and maintaining a building that no one is going to use. I'm sure she will be sending you all this in an email, but those are things that Kim Wren wanted put out there, and also myself.
question that I emailed to all of you. First, is keeping the 31 section vital to the other changes in design? Second, what are all of the hidden costs or savings, both short-term and long-term, involved in keeping the 31 section? What is the anticipated use of the 31 section, and how does this use benefit the students and taxpayers? I received answers from Mr. Loeb, Mrs. Marriott, Mr. Ruffin, and Mr. Conkle. I have not received answers from anybody else. I've also asked all of you in my emails previously and at meetings, and I've yet to hear an answer. Have you discussed with the music, drama, and athletic departments how these changes in design affect their classes and needs? It is your job to answer your constituents. It is your job to explain to your taxpayers why and how you are spending our tax dollars. I realize that taxes will be spent, but when someone asks you how, you need to answer. When someone asks you what your reason is, you need to answer. You made a choice. Now you need to explain to it. Explain it to us. Why? Explain why this is the best use for our tax dollars. Mrs. Johns and Mr. Snell, have you responded to any of the constituents' emails? I direct this specifically to the two of you because, Mrs. Johns, you are the representative for my voting district. And Mr. Snell, you're the board president. I've heard from neither of you. What I want to see up here is discussions. I want to see you asking questions and explaining yourself. I want to see you verbalize your thought process so that your voters who are watching know why you are voting the way you are. And if that is not clear to us and we ask you the question, I want an answer. I want clarification. I'm waiting for an answer.
Mr. Schnell?
Yes.
May I comment?
Sure.
As you know, I'm in favor of the option 5. We're wasting money, we're wasting time. Buildings are not going to be used. As we said all along, we're wasting taxpayer money. We need to go back to the option 5. Do what was proposed. It's the best thing for the students. The previous board spent 2.5, 3 years researching, looking, and we need to go back to option 5.
I think I said this the last time, but I'll repeat it. The people who bid this job, they expect something for the time they spent. Hundreds of hours bidding this job. When they figure the job, competitive bid, it's the best deal for the public. Anything that we change, we're at the mercy of time and material, and I think it's a mistake. And certainly the effort that was put into designing the building and all, input was from everyone, the department heads, the teachers, and all that. And I don't think it's right for Ron and to come in and think that without all the information that was provided to the people who designed the school, and I said it from the very beginning that I was against any redesign. The school, either it was all or nothing, and it was pretty obvious that once the bids were approved, that would be all. And shortchanging, for the benefit of trying to scratch a little money up for Lowestoft Valley, I appreciate the thought, but we got our hands full with this high school project. And again, the work and the effort that's been put into designing it shouldn't be overlooked. It's here. It's going to happen, and the work that was previously put into it should be utilized. Thank you.
As a member of the previous board, along with Mr. Conkle, Mrs. Marriott, Mr. Hagemeyer, we looked at preserving that building. It was one of the plans that we investigated. It was not logical to do it then. It's not logical to do it now. We decided that we would go with the new building. 3 of us did. Mr. Hagemeyer did not vote in favor of that. Now we're faced with a situation where I understand nostalgia. I love to look at the building too, but there's no reason to keep it. There's no one interested in it. There's not one member of this board that has any idea what the maintenance or upkeep of that building will be on an annual basis. Mr. Snell claims that it's going to save $700 and some thousand. Mr. Snell doesn't look at the whole picture. He looks at today. He doesn't look far enough ahead into next week as far as what's going to happen. We are not real estate speculators. We're board members. Our job is to oversee the education of our students, not to speculate on real estate and say, well, let's put some money into it, and maybe somebody will come along and want to use it. Not going to happen, okay? Only a fool would take that building and put money into it to use it, and if they did, they would certainly want a long-term lease from the school district. They're not going to come in and put $1 million into it and say, okay, I'll take a 3-year lease, and so that the board, so that the district can get out of it if it doesn't work out. It's not going to happen. If the board votes to keep that building, and you know that Mrs. Marriott, Mr. Conkle, and I are, and Mr. Lowe, are firmly against it, what we will end up doing is we'll be paying upkeep and maintenance on a building that we will have no use for, does absolutely nothing for our students, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see the windows boarded up, because it will be an abandoned building. And if this board majority votes to retain that building, it will be, hard as this is to believe, their single biggest blunder since they got on this board. It will be the single biggest individual disaster that they have committed the taxpayers to. That's where I stand. Mr. McCleary, we have taxpayers that are trying to get some answers.
Well, you know what? During the comment period, you can do your
control
thing.
the meeting, okay? Don't interrupt me again. You did it last week, okay?
I didn't
They
have
want
no
some
vote was
answers.
taken.
We will give them
7
answers.
people voted.
When they want answers, they'll get answers.
I have one thing to say. I'd like to address you, Mr. Rhodes. Why don't you tell these taxpayers sitting in this room the statement you made to me why you decided to go back with option 5? I can refresh your memory if you can't remember.
Go ahead, refresh my memory.
Your statement was, I'm voting for option 5 as originally designed. If the taxpayers lose, any taxpayers lose their homes because of it, so be it. It'll be on the old board, not on us.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that.
You didn't add to it when you made the statement.
I had nothing to do with the design. I had nothing to do with the debt burden that's been put on the school. All I have to do with is getting in the middle when it is all done. And what's been done has been done properly. As far as stopping it, I don't know how much more effort we could have put into stopping it before the bids were let. Once they were let, it was over and it was done. And that's the way I see it now. As far as the burden to this school district, it's going to be a burden. And there's no question the debt service is going to be an issue. But the bids have been let. That part is done. We got to move forward. And as far as somebody losing their home over it, so be it. Whether that was my statement exactly, it might have been, but I'm not backing away from that either. Because I didn't do that. I think the debt is not mine on the school district. So is there anything wrong with what I said, Ron?
Nope.
I believe there is. Because you're forgetting that we have more than one school to take care of.
Ron, do you think that the people on this board are not aware? Do you think that the other board members aren't aware that I had 4 kids go to Loyalsock Valley, Ron. I know, but and they get real good scores out there. There's a few teachers out there who aren't happy. Well, there's probably a few here that aren't happy. But we had a priority here. The previous board decided what the priorities were, and I do not disagree with the previous board on the way they're handling their priorities. We have our hands full now at the high school. And that's been designed, and every kid that goes to Loyalsock Valley will benefit from the high school, Ron. The 240 kids there, there's 600 kids here that are high school kids. That, how much activity is there at this school after school in the evenings? How much does the Loyalsock Valley School get used by the local community? This school gets used by the community, and there was input from community people on how the new design would benefit them, and it'll be used by them. But we can't do it all, Ron. And the priorities were to get this done. And when I look around in this room, I think it's crazy to tear this down. But it was the whole picture. And the whole picture included not a lot of land. We're here, everybody wants it to be in Mentorsville. They don't want it out of town. They decided that. And now it's time to get this job back on track. Ron, we're not going to be second guess. Just an example of you questioning the electric hand dryers in the bathroom as a line item. Well, you eliminate them, and now you buy paper towels for the rest of your life, and you haul the towels out, and then get the kids stuff paper towels in the toilet and plug it up. So just one example of your micromanaging.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I just want to tell you something. There is everything that we are looking at, I question, because I want to know which way I should vote. So I question the pros, I question the cons. And as a board member, I feel that is something I should do to make the right decision that I feel is right.
Okay, now when you say you question all of those things, do you question the teachers? Did you question the heads of the departments? Did you question all of the people who were involved in the original
Who is in contact with the teachers and gets teachers' input.
How about the superintendent? Did you talk to him about all these decisions?
The superintendent was in meetings also, and he gave input.
Okay, well, just one more thing about the bid process and how it works. When you bid a job like this, there are some things where there's extra fat and things where there aren't any. And that all gets averaged together and the bid gets let. And some things you're going to go through there and you're going to tell the contractor that since this is something that we really might not need, the contractor's going to say, oh, never mind that. That's not the way it is. Everything that was included in this, all the line items were taken into consideration when the bids were let. And for you to go through and take these things line item by line item, you don't know what the total savings are because the contractor didn't bid it that way. You don't know what the savings are going to be until it's all said and done and the lawyers are done, which is just another expense which the district is going to be putting that we shouldn't have to.
Hi, my name is Joe Shore. I live at 340 North Washington Street. So I just want to first thank Jen Marriott for her comments. Earlier, as a professional educator, Jen, I expect nothing less from a professional educator living up to a professional code of ethics. So thank you. I too am curious about the details for the third one building and have some comments and questions. Do you plan on setting up separate utilities that service just that part of the facility in order to closely examine the expenditures that are associated with servicing an empty building? Have you projected what it will cost to heat an empty space in the winter? What is the cost of insurance of an empty building, including liability and fire? To allow an empty building on school property, does it need a certificate of occupancy just to have it sit empty? Do codes even allow for an empty, useless, oversized building? How does this affect the time frame for the progress of the rest of the building, including reevaluating funding? Do further repairs need to be done to avoid follow-through of condemnation by the codes officials of what was found inferior? Have you set a time limit on a building with no function before further action is needed? How does this fit into the LEED certification if it is a SIV for energy consumption? Avoiding demolition costs only postpones work to be done later and adds an extra tax burden on top of what we have right now. Right now, demolition of the building is included in the whole picture, as Mr. Loeb said. It was a complete picture that was presented to you. I worry about you nitpicking and tearing apart piece by piece, because once you start doing that, you start taking things back to the drawing board, and that costs a lot of money. I appreciate Mr. Lowe's logic in his presentation there. I see 31 empty as an oversized tombstone that needs nothing more than a perpetual fund to maintain it. Is it going to be school dollars to take care of it? Thank you.
Hello, Tina Marie Klein, 1009 School Street, Montreal. For the record, I am speaking as a parent and a taxpayer of the district. I actually have 3 things I'd like to ask about. The first relates to curriculum, and I noticed there's something listed under curriculum matters. But it recently came to my attention that the jewelry making elective was canceled. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that course had a full enrollment. So as an educator, I teach as a professor at Penn College. In general, in academia, when we look at consolidating courses or canceling sections, it's generally due to enrollment. So I would just encourage the board to look at that, when you're making curriculum decisions. Second, with regard to the building project, I've heard a lot of stuff, a lot of people talk about the auxiliary gym. What I have not heard or seen, and maybe it exists and I haven't seen it, but an actual usage study that shows the data of when the facilities are used. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. I want to see, because I make decisions based on data, I want to see the data of how these things are being used. And are they being used to their fullest potential? If they're not, I think that's the first place we need to start. We may need an auxiliary gym. I don't know. The data is not there for me to know that. It's also my understanding that there's a local family that allows athletes to use their private facilities. I would like to see the data on that as well to help support whether it is or is not needed. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Mr. Barnes, I actually did try to get that data from the very generous district family that allows usage of their private gym. I actually spoke with Evelyn Wynn, our athletic director. She did not have data on that, but I will go back to her and see if we can get some sort of an idea on how many hours. I know that right now we have 6 athletic teams that this very generous family allows to come to that gym. I don't know how many hours a week it's being utilized, and I'm sure it changes from spring to fall sports seasons, but I will see if I can get that information for you.
Thank you. And I would also appreciate the usage data of the various facilities, McCall's gym, high school gym, Leiter's gym.
You know, I can acknowledge Mr. Kurtz up there. My Girl Scout troop that I'm the leader of, we meet at the lighter school. And they've been very supportive of that. I will say that some days that we're there, we use the cafeteria, the gym is being used. Other times it's not. So I'm just looking at it from a data perspective.
Sure.
Let's make sure we're using the resources that we have appropriately and to our fullest extent.
I agree. I like data-driven decisions also, and I thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
Mary Strassner, Upper Fairfield. I'm want to address the miscellaneous part of the agenda tonight. Mr. Conkle signing for his son's diploma. My son is also a member of the senior class. I'm speaking for him. He can't be here tonight as he's on crutches and has his leg up in a cast. I too want to have Mr. Conkle sign my son's diploma. I feel he's known you since kindergarten. He respects you. I respect you. And I want it to be something that he's proud of. I would like you to sign my son's diploma, please. Thank you.
Hi, Tara Krebs, 716 Broad Street. Taxpayer, teacher, parent. Just a couple of things real quickly. I think you've heard me speak before. I'm very sad. I'm very sad for the state of our community. The back and forth attempts that I see to undermine each other. It's embarrassing. It's not helping. It's setting a very poor example for our students. It's affecting morale. And I beg you, to swallow your pride. Enough to do what's right for all of us. Pardon. Each meeting that we come to has had such a focus on the building project and anger behind that. Mr. Hagemeyer, I miss your stories about students. I know how much you love them.
I've got a bunch of them for you tonight.
As a teacher, there are tests that are important. We're not talking about test scores. My principal, my son's principal, is busy with building stuff and taken away from very important things that should be addressed. As a school board, your efforts need to be spread out. We have administrators that are going to need to be replaced. We have guidance counselors and teachers, and our focus has been meeting after meeting on this building project. We need to move past it. We need to make decisions, and we need to move past it. In a way to maybe bring some closure to this, my parents went to Easton High School, actually Wilson High School in Easton, Pennsylvania. And when their building was demolished and rebuilt, it wasn't as controversial as this. And one of the things that they did was to save some of the bricks from the building. People bought them, engraved names on them. They made Christmas ornaments. People bought pictures of the old building. And we've lost that. Please, swallow your pride, all of you, for the good of our community.
Glen Park, 1101 or 1103 Good Shepherd Road in Upper Fairfield. I cannot understand what is wrong with you people. This vote has been taken twice and turned down for this new school. It was misled to the people right from the beginning when they said they wanted to renovate. Renovation is to go in and repair things. It wasn't told to the people that this was going to be a tear down rebuild. So thus, the old board never even took the consideration of renovating this school. They told the contractor or the designers, whatever, they wanted a new school. So this is what they did. They designed a new school. They even admitted it in one of the other meetings. They never come up with a figure about what it would be to renovate this school. And besides that, what is wrong with the old 31 out here to put the executive offices in that building? That would leave you that much more space that you're building here for classrooms or something of that sort. I mean, it's all for the kids. I mean, it isn't for the administration. You know, so why not put the administration offices in the 31 building? I mean, I blame the old school board for this whole thing. Because you knew at the time, all you had to do was not sign those contracts until the new board was seated. But you knew what you wanted, and you knew what the taxpayers of this district wanted because of the vote that they took. These new people, their whole campaign was run on common sense and saving the taxpayers some money. And that which could have been done with renovating this high school, plus repairing the valley. But no, you put it in the...
May I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
First of all, we did look at renovations. And Scott, what was that price tag for renovations? $22 million for renovations. I moved forward, and I'm speaking for myself. I moved forward because I knew these new board members would do nothing. If we didn't sign those contracts, move forward, the new board come in, we would have done absolutely nothing.
We would have renovated the school, is what we would have done. We would have done the repairs that needed done. $22 million, that's a far safe from $36 million, which is going to cost you a hell of a lot more than that. I think, you know, you really ought to be ashamed of yourself. I mean, you really ought to. Oh, well, I would if I were you. So, but I think the new church, what they've done, they voted on this twice so far.
A little louder, please. Please.
I am currently less than 20 days away from graduating. And this is all we hear about, the construction and all that. I am an ag student, and we are out in the new ag facilities. And when we go to walk out, if it's raining, we're going to be soaked by the time we get to class. So is there any type of possibility of having something for us to walk under, or even having umbrellas provided for us inside the building that we can take with us? And it's just ridiculous. Sitting here just a few minutes ago, it seriously looked like I was sitting in a classroom watching a bunch of schoolgirls yell at each other over a simple, stupid thing. It's time to grow up. You guys aren't in high school anymore. We are. I swear we could probably run this, high schoolers should probably run this board better than you can. Thank you.
That's all the time we have for public comment right now.
Mr. Snell, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to extend the public comment time, well, another 30 minutes, if necessary. Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to extend the public comment period for another 30 minutes. second. Questions or comments?
The people want to speak. We were cut off last time. I think we owe it to our community to let them say what they want to say.
These are the people that are paying the bills.
Mr. Snell,
Yes.
we have a presentation by Mr. Rohrbach. Is that correct? No? Scott Cousins?
Yes.
I think maybe after they hear that, we'll answer some questions. And we've got a lot to go over before our time is up.
I agree. There's a lot on the agenda. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Secretary, you do a roll call vote, please.
Take more time.
Mr. Hagemeyer?
No.
Mrs. Johns? No. Mr. Conkle?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mrs. Marriott?
Yes.
Mr. McCleary?
No.
Mr. Ruffing?
Yes.
Mr. Snell?
No.
Mrs. Wright?
No.
Motion fails.
There you go, Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
Expect that.
Now we move on to finance.
Alright. You've received copies of the Treasurer's Report for the period ending April 30th, 2016 for the General Fund and Cafeteria Fund, as well as a listing of invoices for the General Fund, Cafeteria Fund, and Capital Project Fund for the period ending April 30th, 2016. We are submitting these for the board to consider for approval and payment.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes. Mr. Smith, I was unable to get a hold of you earlier in the week to ask you about the, and I don't expect, if you can't answer this right now, that's okay, I understand. Check number 50561, Bassett Engineering, for $23,410. Do you know if all that amount is related to the well work at Willowstock Valley?
I would honestly have to check on that.
Okay. And I thank you for doing that. And the second one is check number 50599 to McNerney, Page, Van Linden Hall for $4,851. Do you know if that is just a 1 month bill for,
I actually printed those and brought copies of them because I was planning on them being questioned on it. Let me find those.
okay.
There's actually 3 separate bills here. One is for an expulsion hearing as part of it.
Okay, and Randy, do you have the amount of that for the expulsion hearing?
$1,077.
$1,077, and that was just for the expulsion hearing?
It's several different pieces of it performed on several different days.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We have right to know work done for the whole month of March.
And do you have a total for that?
$1,498.50.
$1,498, okay.
And then there's more right to know work on this next one. Informational sessions, board meetings, that on the other one too, and that's also for March.
And do you have that amount also, Randy?
$2,211.80.
Okay, so this is all, and I'm sorry, I do not mean to put you on the spot and call you out on this without any notice, and I thank you for that information. So that $4,851 was just for the month of March then, and with these additional, like I said, the expulsion hearing. Okay, that was just 1 month then?
Correct.
Okay, and I thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary, just to re-clarify on the check number 50599, which is McNerney, Cajun, Vanderland, Hall. The scope of work that was charged for that month, would that have been covered under the old solicitor's $5,000 retainer?
The board meetings and informational sessions, but not the right to knows or the expulsion hearing.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Snell, in regards to that, and this is related to the bill for McNerney, Page, Vanderland, and Hall. You know, just for 1 month, we have $1,500 there in bills just for right to know. Why don't we just start putting that information out there every month and put it in the agenda that this is the amount of money that was spent on the continuing escalating amount on the suspension of the project, the 3-month suspension. Start putting these things in here. Why aren't we looking at the most commonly requested right to know issues, and why don't we just put that out there so that the board members can see it? If somebody wants to know that, we can simply just tell them. I mean, this right to know thing, this is out of control. This is outrageous. $1,500 for 1 month for just right to knows. And when I talk to people who put in these right to knows, oftentimes that information is incomplete, and they're not receiving all the information they want. So why aren't we looking at just putting that information out there so people don't have to file a right to know? I mean, for starters, I'd like to see in every meeting all bills, just for starters, all bills related to the project suspension, because that amount is just spiraling out of control. I think everybody should know what that amount is at every meeting.
Let me just clarify, Mr. Ruffin. We only review the right to know requests that are sent for review by the district. Once we receive them, it involves a great deal of work to go through numerous individual documents. And when a right to know request comes in, they're expensive to process. There's no question about that.
My point being, let's reduce that number of right to know. Let's look at what there are certain categories of right to knows that every month they fit into the same category.
Well, much of the information that's requested is not actually related to the building project, although some of it has been. But for example, going through numerous stacks of emails and that sort of thing, which was not really directly related to the construction. But there's a good deal of it that is related to the project.
I think that the right to know request would be greatly reduced if we put all you have to do is look at these categories that seem to be constant and put that information out there, and then people don't have to file a right to know, and we don't have to pay you to look it up.
I do believe that if the business manager looks at a right to know request and doesn't have a question regarding the ability to release it, I believe the business manager releases that without it going to the solicitor.
Okay? I would like then for every subsequent meeting to include an ongoing total of what the 3-month project suspension, what that total is in every meeting. I'd like to see it on paper, the bills that came in related to that. we know now that whole project is over $250,000 for that motion and that approval of that motion. And I'd like to see the ongoing tally at every work session and every board meeting. And I would like to be able to convey it to the taxpayers. Do I need to make a motion?
I think there's already a motion on the table.
Okay, I'll wait.
All right, the motion was, and we had a second to approve the treasurer's report for the general fund and cafeteria fund, and approve bills for payments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now I'd like to make the motion. I'd like to make a motion that with every board meeting and every work session, that we get an ongoing tally of all the costs associated with the 3-month building project suspension.
Second.
Questions or comments?
How much of a burden that created?
I don't know if all the costs will be able to be calculated up to date. Some stuff we don't find out until later on. I think it's going to be challenging.
You said challenging.
Yes.
Would it be possible to, maybe not on a monthly basis, but to be charged to put some things together for Mr. Ruffin?
For the taxpayers.
Without having that monthly burden of all the things that you've already had to put on your plate? Quarterly, maybe once.
Quarterly, I don't think that'd be acceptable.
Probably Dick Kastner would probably be better at getting that information around because he sees it more every day. I would have to work with him.
Randy, I'll be sharing with you anything we bring up along those lines with, with respect to the change order process we talked about last time. Okay? So, and then if you have any questions or anything, you can talk like that. Yes.
Thank you, Dick.
Randy, is that going to take a lot of your time to be able to do that instead of your regular job?
I'm not sure at this time. Have to try it and see how long it takes.
If you collaborated though with Dick, I think Dick can recognize, certainly Dick would be the expert at recognizing bills that come in that would be related to that stoppage. I mean, am I correct, Dick? Would you be able to kind of look over them and say, yes, this is related to it, no, this is not?
Yes.
You would be able to do that?
The process we have right now is that I would share this with Brandy anyway. We would have a discussion about it.
Okay.
So the answer is yes.
And I understand this would be a daunting task for any business manager, especially a new one. And I don't wish to put all that on her, but we do need to keep the taxpayers informed as to just what this escalating amount is.
Well, Brandy and I can put together.
That'd be great. Thank you, Dick.
session to have an ongoing tally of the cost, the building budget suspension, tally of the costs.
I'm sorry, Brandon, did you say, you said every meeting, correct?
Every board meeting and work session, informational session.
Would it be easier for you if it was just, well, it probably would be, if it was just once a month at the board meeting? At the regular board meeting, forget the work session?
That would be easier.
That would give you more time to collaborate with Dick?
Yes.
Okay, can we amend the motion if we provide that information then once a month at the regular board meeting? Thank you.
Your second means you consent to the amendment.
Second.
Did I say something, Mr. Snow? I think that's important information, but it's also history. Going forward, I think the delays as a result of uncertainty, if there could be a dollar amount put on that, I think that would be a real important number. But the delay is over with, that's done, and yeah, it definitely costs money, but I think this uncertainty is, there's a dollar that should be put on that too. And I'm not really sure how to do that, but it certainly is, it's going to be substantial when it's all said and done.
All those in favor of the motion,
We have a roll
could you take a roll call vote?
Mr. Hagermeyer.
No.
Mrs. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Kunkel.
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Yes.
Mrs. Marriott.
Yes.
Mr. McCleary.
Yes.
Mr. Ruffing.
Yes.
Mr. Snell.
Yes.
Mrs. Wright.
Motion carries. Now we move on to order of business.
Thank you. Board members, I'd like to draw your attention to the agenda supplement. I apologize for that. We did have a retirement request come in on Friday. It was after we had the agenda. So, and I apologize for the supplement, but in this case it is needed. So, in that respect, I would like the board to consider action items under personnel matters A through F at this time.
Motion to approve.
All those in favor? Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And number 2, under student matters, request board approval for graduation of those members of the senior class of 2016 who have met all state and district requirements as of June 1st, 2016. Special dates for the senior class are as follows. Baccalaureate scheduled for Thursday, May 26th, 2016, 7 p.m. in high school auditorium. And commencement and awards ceremony on Thursday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. at Memorial Stadium. For your consideration.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Dr. Bowers, maybe you can help answer this. What are the options if it does rain?
Dan and I are working on that this time. We have we've been working with the theater in Williamsport. They have offered to let us use the theater downtown. There is a cost associated with that of just shy of $1,500.
Is that budgeted?
I'm sorry?
Is there a budget for that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, obviously it's not a line on the budget, but we have money for that.
Okay.
We can take care of that. It is important to note, though, that we'll have to pay a $500 fee just to have them set up and ready to go, just in case it doesn't. But I think that's absolutely necessary. The history of our district, we really try. We try to have allow the kids to have a lot of input in where they would like to have graduation, and the senior district class certainly wants to have graduation here in the Memorial Stadium.
Right.
And we certainly hope the weather helps. Last year we had a 2% chance of rain, and they really wanted it outside, and we did that, and we got a little wet.
We got the 2%
Senior class
chance.
loved it. I think they had a great graduation. But having said that, you know, if there's chances of thunderstorms, and it looks pretty clear that it's going to be a downpour during the ceremony, we'll have to go to the theater, and they'll have to be set up regardless of what that decision is. So the board would plan on a $500 fee regardless, and then about a $1,500 fee if you do end up using that facility. That is a price break. They work with us. It's actually a very fair price. They take care of the staging, the lighting, the sound, everything. So they treated us very fairly. So that's the plans that we're putting in place right now.
Thank you.
Dr. Powers, I know I talked to you, and so far I had a concern about going to where the stadium entrance is. What was the decision there?
Yeah, Dick and Dan, and they've been discussing that in their contractor meetings. We'll make provisions for that.
Any more questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. There are no curriculum matters at this time. Number 4, policy matters. A, request board approval of revised policy 137, home education programs. This is a second reading for your consideration.
Make a motion to move for board approval of the revised policy number 137. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a few questions. How many homeschool children do we have in our district?
Boy, Jim, I don't have that.
You don't have that?
I don't have that figure top of my head.
All right. Do you know are they required to take the PSSAs?
Well, Kim, you want to address that?
We have about 40 odd kids in homeschool. And they're all sent a letter inviting them, informing them that they may participate. Rarely do we have any.
How does that affect our scores if they don't participate?
You are only, their score would never be attributed to us because
Either way?
either way, you must be enrolled a certain part of the year, a significant part of the year, before the score gets attributed to you. So even like a student who moves in January, their score would, and not homeschooled, they were our kid, they just moved in, even their score would not be attributed to us. They weren't here by October 1st.
Thanks for that clarification.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And letter B, request board approval for the revised policy 808, food services for the first reading.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised policy number 808 for the first reading.
Second.
Questions or comments?
I'm sorry, I have so many questions. On the very last page of that revision, number 3, it talks about when a student forgets or loses his or her money, etc. I was just curious, what is our policy when a student goes an extended amount of time without insufficient funds, whether they're elementary, middle school, or high school?
Well, it does depend how many times they have done it. So, we try to give them a break. We do feed them peanut butter jelly sandwiches or something they get. We send letters home. We explain to parents that, those funds have to be cleared up. We have a system now where parents can actually look at that account. They understand, how much money is in those accounts. So, typically a student is not turned away without any food. We try to provide something to them, but at the same time, some of those bills get pretty high, and we have to try to monitor that.
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And these last three policies, we can group together because they're all first reads and they're all brand new policies. They're all policies that have been brought to us by PSBA due to some sort of code change, some kind of change in school code or some regulation that we are now bound to react to. So I would ask you to consider item C, D, and E. Policy 827, conflict of interest. Policy 626, federal fiscal compliance. And policy 626-1, travel reimbursement for federal programs. All these are first readings for your consideration.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yes, Mr. Snell, under conflict of interest, these pages are not numbered, so I would go back, ask you to go back to the back of this group of papers that lists all this. Starting at the back, I'd like you to move up 6 pages. And it's under, there's a section here that says improper influence. And I'll wait till everybody finds that. Oh, right here. Oh. Okay, just come up 6 pages to the back. Oh, never mind. Right there. Does Mr. Landon have a copy of this?
Yes.
You have it, Mr. Landon? Have you turned to the page that I'm turned to? And if not, I can give you my copy. Do you have it?
I do.
Could you please read under improper influence that paragraph that starts out, no person shall offer or give? Would you just read that paragraph to me, please, to all of us?
No person shall offer or give to a board member, employee, or nominee or candidate for the board or any member of his or her immediate family or a business with which she or he is associated anything of monetary value, including a gift, loan, political contribution, reward, or promise of future employment based on the offerer's or donor's understanding that the vote, official action, or judgment of the board member, employee, or nominee, or candidate of the board would be influenced thereby. No board member.
Oh, that's good enough. Thank you. What's your interpretation of that when it says, no person shall offer or give to a board member anything of value, including a political contribution? How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, what I'm asking you is, on our very first meeting, you were appointed the new board solicitor. Okay? Did you or did you not give the Option 6 campaign a political contribution?
I believe that I did.
You did?
I believe so.
And the amount was?
I'm not sure.
It was $100.
Okay.
And so, how would this affect you? It sounds to me as though that you have violated this. Am I correct?
I don't believe so.
But why not?
Well, among other things, Mr. Ruffing, I believe it says, based on the offerer's or donor's understanding that the vote, official action, or judgment of the board member, employee, or nominee, or candidate for the board would be influenced thereby.
Okay, well, what do I need to do? Repeat this? Okay, here, let me cut it down to fewer words then. You gave this campaign, their campaign, $100 for their campaign.
Okay.
Within minutes of them taking their board seats on December 7th, they fired a longtime solicitor for no reason other than to give you the job. How do you feel about that?
I would not have any expectation that 5 board members,
that's a good answer, but what I'm reading is here, it says you're not supposed to do that. I'm not gonna go on about this, because we have other things to cover. But I just wanted to bring that to light. And I thank you for your answer.
Any other questions or comments?
Policy matters, C, E, and E.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
As you can see, number 5, conference request for 8 board members. There is no action needed tonight. Under B, festival and affirmative participation, we do have a few listed in your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Which now takes us to miscellaneous matters. Miscellaneous matters A, request board approval of the election of Scott W. Punko as temporary school board president for the purpose of signing his son's high school diploma.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes. Could we include in that motion that not only Mr. Conkle could sign his son's high school diploma, but Mr. Conkle could also sign the diplomas of any other students that wishes to have Mr. Conkle sign it?
Dr. Bowers,
Yes, sir.
what has in the past, what have we done as far as signing school diplomas?
We have always allowed this in the past, that there's a board member who has a family member or something graduating, we've given this request.
For a family member?
Yes.
I will leave the motion as I made for Mr. Conkle to act as temporary school board president for the purpose of signing his son's high school diploma. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
B, request board approval for the addition of competitive spirit to the list of sponsored sports by Montoursville Area School District, no additional cost. This is actually for PIAA. Our cheerleaders want to be recognized by PIAA to go to competition. For your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments?
This is our cheerleaders of the district. It's not a separate group. So,
Dane, you might want to help me. There may be additional kids involved. I'm not sure if this is solely just our cheerleaders or can other kids be part of this as well, Dan?
It's essentially just renaming our varsity cheerleading squad to competitive spirits. They compete in the state championship for cheerleading. It is one competition.
oh, just one.
So it's the same girls who tried out for the cheerleading